Mikey here, coming back at ya from the mobile workshop. If I look this way, it's because I've got the microphone this way. And also, I got a microphone, so hopefully it sounds good. It's just plugged right into my phone. I don't know. We'll work on computer softwares and stuff whenever I cross that bridge. But for now, I hope this works sufficiently. I could change the gain or something, but we're just going to rock with this for right now. I just wanted to come in with a little video, give you guys 5 tips I've got for beginner lifters that are just trying to get started. There are more tips, but these are just 5 that I considered that would be pretty decent to just express in the beginning. So, number 1, less is more. And so this can be considered when it comes to weight as well as volume. When you are just beginning, your body will respond to a lot of what you throw at it if it's new stimulus. So don't go crazy right out the gate. Set lower weight goals for yourself per se. Just because you can lift something and you have the ability to lift it does not always mean that you should. And pulling the maximum weight will really help you in the long run, because nobody wants to jump the gun, think they're very strong, and then end up hurting themselves not too far thereafter. And then with volume, I like a lot of volume. I do feel like volume is a good thing, but in the beginning, it can be very easy to overdo and then make it to where you won't be able to follow up with a different training session later on in the week if you do decide to overdo it. So really try to reel back the reins, try to push yourself, but just don't try to be crazy. Because I know in the beginning, typically, depending on why you're starting or what reasons you're starting for, it can be somewhat emotionally driven. So try to reel back those emotions and take a sensible approach, and yeah, you'll be better off, have a lot more longevity in the beginning, and be able to milk a lot more of those newbie gains if you just don't jump the gun and go crazy at the beginning. Next, number 2, focus on technique. And this is a lot easier said than done, and it's a lot easier done if you listen to number 1 and follow the less is more approach. So in certain movements and certain exercises, a little bit of slop can be tolerated, but for a vast majority of exercises, I don't believe that to be the case. Like, especially from an isolating bodybuilding perspective, like, we're not trying to create the maximal amount of force that we can to perform the movement. We're trying to create maximum tension to the targeted muscle group to create the most amount of adaptation. So, working on form, taking it slow, making sure you're focusing on what you're actually trying to focus on really does go a long way. So, slow down, work on your technique, and sometimes you may not always have a coach. There's plenty of videos and stuff out there showing proper technique. You might have to do a little bit of digging. Some people do promote things that aren't necessarily proper, but at the same time, it is a game of ergonomics, and everybody's body is just a little bit different in leverages, in the sense that we do move load, but realistically, we can all kind of find a happy relative medium in how we all relate to the basis of how the movement's supposed to be performed. So it can help to have some references, as well as if you can hire a coach or anything like that, or if you do come from a weightlifting background and you do know what you're doing, it never hurts to bring your loads back down anytime you're feeling like you're getting out of whack, and just restarting and building that foundation of technique from the ground up. So, number 3, work on recovery before it's even necessary. Now, to some, this may go without even saying, but to some, it's like I'm gonna say it and then people still won't do it, just because I know I'm one of those people. I don't really have recovery always at the forefront of my mind until something's hurting. So it's really good to take that into account before anything even happens, because it really can help, just with what I even just said, prevention. So making sure you're actively stretching, making sure you're warming up properly, making sure you're doing good supplementary exercises that can actually help and assist in building a solid base of strength for some of those smaller muscle groups and stabilizer muscle groups and everything. Sometimes our big muscles get stronger than the little ones a whole lot quicker. So it's good to just take time, work on that recovery. Active recovery is very good. Getting blood moving into an area that you have recently just worked, putting it through that full range of motion, not using it just so it can recover, but putting it through a stretch position, putting it through a contracted position again, putting a little bit of tension on it again. Not the same type of tension, but a little bit of tension doesn't hurt. I do a lot of bike riding for my legs. I've been really trying to stretch a lot more. One of my goals right now, I really, fingers crossed, hopefully soon, want to be able to get the splits, and I do think that it is possible. We'll see if I get the front splits or the side splits first. They're both, like, honestly pretty even on my closeness to getting them, which is not too close, but it's also not too far. So yeah, we're working on that. But stretching, foam rolling, just doing whatever you can to prevent injury before it occurs is the best approach. And it may take up some time, and it may cut out in some of your training if that's the only time you have to perform it. But trust me, you will not regret cutting your training short for recovery versus training more and not doing recovery at all. You're going to go a whole lot further. Number 4 on my list. Training, in my opinion, is a whole lot more important than diet. Now, that's not to say if I completely nail my diet and I'm awesome with it, that I will not make more progress. But in the beginning stages, like, for a lot of people, like, I understand if you are very much overweight, that diet does need to be taken care of first before you can actually train optimally, if you are at that heavy of a weight to where it does need to be considered you training at that weight versus at a lower weight to start off with. So, but in generality, I do feel like training is a lot more important than diet, and a lot of these fitness people out there are all selling their cookbooks, training plans, diet tips, all this stuff. Everybody just wants to get shredded, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's really like the easiest thing is just train and don't eat that much. Like, at the end of the day, that's all it really boils down to. And if I personally like to eat a lot more, I probably would make more progress, be a little bit heavier. But I care more about the training. I have a lot more passion about the training than I do the food. I wish I wanted to eat more. That's something I am trying to work on myself. And some people out there, real bodybuilders, would be like, dude, you can't eat enough. That's like the easiest part of bodybuilding. Well, to some. I don't really care to eat that much. If I could take a pill that had all my daily food calories and then just eat for pleasure, I would do it. Because realistically, it is an inconvenience out of my day. I've got to cook, I got to eat, I got to clean, I got to do all that crap. I ain't really got time for it. I just want to grow. But to not stray too far away from the point, training and creating the stimulus will do something regardless of your caloric intake. You will still build muscle. You will still strengthen the tendons. You'll still promote that healthy, conscious mindset of being consistent in something, in doing something, in working on yourself. And a lot of people say this can be flip-flopped. You start with the diet and then it'll usually transfer over into training. I feel like it's much easier to transfer from training to working on your diet, because at least then you've got the building blocks for fitness. Like, a healthy diet's a healthy diet, and I'm not going to say that's not healthy, but it's not one of the building blocks for fitness and being fit. So I would say if you have a goal to train 3 to 4 times a week, and you follow that goal and you're consistent with that goal, and even if you don't want to go, you are disciplined enough to go, then that usually can come into other factors in your life. And I, like I said, do still struggle with food. It's not something that I don't struggle with, but at least most of the time I have my training down to a point to where I can be a bit lenient with food and still look the way that I do look, which, like I said, could be better, but I don't get any complaints in my typical day-to-day life about how I look. Most people think I'm relatively muscular. They can tell I work out. Sometimes I look a little bit small in the shirt, but just depends on the shirt. So once I take it off, then the guns, they're out. People can tell, and it's a thing. So really, I think starting off with the foundation of training, getting the ball rolling in that sense, is a lot more beneficial for normal people that are just trying to start going to the gym. Then, my last little tidbit, this one's just kind of a fun one. And like I said, I might come out with more of these pointers. This is just, I got the new microphone and I'm here at work, just sitting here waiting for people to call, and I brought it with me just because I wanted to play around and mess with it and see how much better it actually is. Hoping it's better. Hopefully me moving back and forth isn't causing too much discomfort or anything. I still need to figure out the proximity and everything, and of course if I'm not in my car and I'm sitting at my desk, probably be a whole lot easier. But hopefully this still sounds okay and not a horrible video. But yeah, number 5. Flexing is a good thing. You know, sometimes when you're just starting out and you don't think you've got anything to flex, it might be discouraging, or you might think like, what's the point of doing this? Why? Or you might think it's a little douchey or whatever. Nobody wants to be that dude just flexing all the time at the gym in between every set or whatever. But I tell you what, there's some merit to it. Like, it definitely, if you don't have it now and you continue to flex it, you continue to train, you will have it later. And flexing, I feel, is key to my muscle connection and developing it. And if you can flex and contract and squeeze that muscle almost to the point of a cramp without even having any load or anything on it, like, yes, of course, you don't want to cramp. You should be hydrated enough and everything like that. But if you can isolate a muscle in your body, flex it, and bring it to that point, your mind is locked into that muscle. And what happens when your mind is locked into that muscle and you're able to transfer that to your training, you're able to feel it during your training a lot more effectively and perform more work doing the same thing just because your mind is that much more connected. And people may not think that it plays as big of a part in it as it does, but there's people that'll train for a really, really long time. And I tell you, if you started to implement a little bit more flexing, just posing, flexing, whatever, either be it in between sets or when you're getting ready for the day or whatever have you, you are connecting with that muscle. You are bringing more blood flow to that muscle. It's going to have a benefit. And I think it's not super marginally small to not be mentioned. So try it out. Do some more flexing. Even if you're not proud of it, still take a picture then. Look at it. Think, man, why am I even doing this? This doesn't even look that good. And then continue to take pictures. And then continue to see the progress, because that's the only way you know if you're actually making progress. Like, yeah, of course, you don't have to take pictures and you can just see it on yourself, but it really does put things in perspective if you have that timeline to look back onto, because if you don't do that, then eventually you'll wake up one day and be like, dang, I've made progress. But to be able to go back and look at it and see it happen and see what you did, and you'll see your confidence grow in your face and hitting the pose. Like, it's game-changing. It feels good. It really helps out. And I feel like posing is not only just good at helping bring stimulus to the muscle, but just for a confidence thing. And when you're confident, when you're training, when you're posing, you make more progress than when you're not confident. So even if just that's a good enough reason to do it, then I feel like that's just as good of any reason. So, yeah. Hopefully, this is freaking 17 minutes. I only did 5 because I try to want to keep it short. But of course, rambler over here. But hopefully, like I said, this video sounds good. This is going to be the first one on the new microphone. And many, many more to come. We are 20 days into our 50-day challenge, which, to be honest, I've been kind of slacking on. I've had a lot going on, and I'm really trying to just keep it all together. We're not doing horrible, but we're not doing great, per se. But, I mean, we're doing. It's life, and, I mean, we're here to live it, and I can't do everything completely how I wish I could say it and then just do it, but we'll get to that point eventually. Just watch. But if you like the video, you want some more tips, got any questions, drop them down in the comments. Like the video. If you want to see more of me, hopefully I'm not so sweaty next time, subscribe to the channel. Or, go follow me on Instagram, Mickey's Workshop. Same thing. I haven't posted in a few days, but I'm a lot more active on there and try to be. I'm still trying to figure out social media. I could have been doing this years and years ago if I wasn't an idiot and thought the way I thought or got depressed or whatever have you. But we're doing it now. We're making a solid effort. I'm not old yet, so there's still time for the gains. There's still time to get juicy, and there's still time to bring my message. And yeah, that's what we're doing. So, y'all have a good day. I appreciate you listening. If you've listened this long, have a good one.